So can you just introduce yourself real quick for the people at home?
Yeah, wait, where's the camera?
They're all around. You can just
Okay.
look at us, they'll catch you.
Okay, I am Finn Blomberg. I'm a voice. Sorry, I have autism, so it's difficult speaking at times. I'm a life scout that's part of Troop 93 right here in Kingston. I've been doing scouting ever since I was in first grade. It's always been a goal of mine to reach Eagle. I'm nearly there. This project's like the only thing I have left to do. I have all the merit badges.
Good job.
Yeah. I am also a senior at the Sanborn Regional High School. Okay, you can flip to the paper on the one right after the project. You don't want to keep up with me.
Okay.
So yeah, I've gone through several project ideas. I met with several people, and upon talking with Mr. Butler, this is what I decided on. Over at the Richard D. Sanborn, over at the rec center, which actually has had two previous Eagle projects, the stairs by Christy Young and the shed by Owen Tebow. But right near the shed, there's that wooded area there that back when the property was still owned by the YWCA, which is an amphitheater. Currently it goes unused. I plan to add some stuff to that and clean it up. I saw in there's a large tree down there that will be removed. I will also be removing the smaller, like sapling trees. The large trees will remain, keep it shaded, just make it fit or spacious. In that area, I will be installing a campfire pit and 3 accompanying benches. In addition to that, up on the upper field, I will install a doggy pit. Don't worry, I'll get to what doggy pit is in a second. As you can see, the pictures, which show where the doggy pit will go. And, the doggy ball pit picture. Yeah, big. Oh God, I think it might not be in that one. That's an older version. Yeah, it might not have been in that version that was sent to you, but yeah. Here's a picture of what a doggy pit will look like. Yeah, what they look like. Yeah, a doggy ball, it's sort of like Foursquare in a way. You're basically in the pit, the enclosed area. You're basically trying to be the last one standing by eliminating other players by basically rolling a ball at them. You're not allowed to pick up the ball and throw it. You just roll it. That's pretty much your only way of doing things. The scout troop quite likes it. And from what I've heard, it's very popular among children. Then the pictures of where the campfire pit and benches will go, including some of the saplings that will be removed. And then a representative's next up is a representative sample of the proposed fire pit. I've got unapproved. Yeah, Mr. Butler here has actually talked with Mr. Mallon here from the fire department, and they're all good. It's about 3 feet in diameter, and if needed, we'll dig out an area beneath it to fill with gravel, just so that no fires appear underneath. Yeah, then the benches. I looked around at some benches, and the ones I decided on were very similar to the ones that are found at Camp Lincoln. Like indented into the ground and stuff. They're about 10 to 12 feet in length. And then I created a sample view of the property. You labeled it. Luckily, since you have colored versions, you can point out anything. You can easily identify the colors. If you have any questions on what the lines mean, just let me know.
What do you estimate the project will take?
Well, the plan date that I plan to have it done by is by June 15th, project that will not only provide 7 new things for the recreation center, but will also, that I know the community will like, but also that will provide the basis for several more things to come. And I know Mr. Butler has several things on his mind that he'd like to do with that and other ideas. And Mr. Butler, would you like to say anything?
Sure. Phil and I have met, Mr. Bumberg have met several times. He has my full approval. I think it'd be a great project, and as he said, I can see doing more with it, maybe with other groups in town or whatever. But really developing that area. Another positive of this is if that's developed a little more, it's a great place to bring kids in the summer because that field, that wonderful new field we have, is really hot to spend an hour and a half on in the summertime. So that I could see that as being a nice place to come down to, where it's a little more shady and stuff. So it would serve another purpose there. But it would also be a big community thing with campfires and sing-alongs, Kingston Got Talent, whatever. But it's something I wanted to do for a while, and Finn was nice enough to select us.
Awesome. Any questions?
Also, the Gaga Ball is something that the recreation is interested in?
He's right. It's very popular.
I've never heard of it.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Because you're old.
Yeah. I thought I got an outdated version that doesn't have the goggle ball bit info. Luckily, they always come prepared, fully updated version with all the changes in it, including a goggle ball information slide. Any other questions?
Thank you for coming up with such a great idea for the rec center.
You're welcome.
Thank you, very nice.
Do you need any help from the town?
Well, if you approve it, then I'd like a letter sent either in person or email, because I think I'm going to need that when I go before or to present my proposal to the Eagle Board.
Okay.
No problem.
So, well, if you need anything else, because you're gonna need, one of your jobs, right, is to get all the materials and people and everything for this, right?
Yeah, I got.
So if you need something from us, we can help you.
Okay.
This looks like a great project, so we'd be very happy to help you with anything we can.
He
doesn't need a motion to approve this project?
I think he
We're
does.
still in the question phase,
Okay.
but I would entertain such a motion, should you make one?
I would like to make a motion to approve the proposed Eagle Scout project for Mr. Bloomberg.
And I'll second that.
Okay, motion second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Unanimous.
You're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Enjoy your evening.
You too.
Okay, let me just pack this up. Grab anything. Not like anything with this one. Okay.
Thank you.
Good night, thank you.
Good night.
We'll see you at the returning seminar.
Yeah, and any paperwork you guys need, you can just contact Susan and just let us know and we'll.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to our first public comment session of the evening. Okay, committee liaison reports.
I can start for you. I want to put together a solar committee, and I think, I think I brought it up last week, but Rick Russman, Glenn Koppelman, James Hasselbeck from Revision Energy, myself and Kevin, we were 5 of us, to work on the proposal that they originally brought to us, develop an RFP, which Revision will be bidding on, like anyone else that wants to come forward. But I don't know if you want to add anyone else. That gives us 5 working people over the next 6 to 8 months. And Matt Angel from the school, the business manager from the school.
I'm concerned about the potential conflict of interest of someone being on the committee and a potential bidder on the project, or a likely bidder on the project.
There would be a likely bidder on the project. But we're going to need some help in terms of what this project's going to look like.
I mean, they gave us a pretty detailed proposal already.
I'm open to, I haven't, I mean, he asked me specifically he could be on it, and I said yes, but I would bring it here to you guys first before I send any emails out, so you tell me what to do, I'll go along with whatever you suggest. You wanna think about it? You think it's a conflict to have them
I think
participate?
it would be, if I were another potential bidder, I would be crying foul because a person sitting on the committee was a bidder.
Okay, all right.
And not like he just works for the company, he's in a leadership role in the company bidding it.
Okay,
So that would, it would give him an opportunity, not that I'm saying that he would do so, but it would give him an opportunity to form and guide the process to be beneficial to him.
Okay, and I don't disagree with you, don't disagree with your premise on that. The meetings would be open to the public, so he could attend our meeting?
Yeah, and I certainly would have no issue with him being called in as a subject matter expert or anything like that, but I think for him to be a named member of the committee would be dicey.
What about somebody like from Brentwood who's gone through this process?
If you know someone that would work with us, that'd be awesome.
I mean, they did a, the solar field, maybe somebody who's involved with the solar field there could come and serve on this committee. Say what they did right, what they did wrong, just a thought.
I don't know if I want someone actually on the committee, that would be a resource. I mean, we would have to contact Brentwood to come in. Someone like Chris Magnuson, who lives in Brentwood, probably knows a lot about the project and what has worked or not worked. Or one of the selectmen there would need to come in and meet with us.
And then the state's got a solar division.
And the state's been going around to the school districts as well and proposing their own solar displays. I had talked with Tom Ambrose about it, and he said, yeah, we're very interested, but we don't want to, how do you put it? We don't want to put ourselves out of the business of having the opportunity to have solar panels. And I said, oh, you're trying to deep sink the project? And he said, no. He said, I just want to leave all our options open. But he was under the understanding that we were going to go for this March. And I said, no, we got a lot of work to do to see if it's even feasible. I mean, you got to raise, what, $11-12 million if we were to put the solar panels on the landfill site. And if we don't want to do that, we'd have to find an investor. There's just too many other pieces to the puzzle. It's not going to happen in 6 months. It might be a year from March before we go to the voters for their consideration. And we'd have to have a series of hearings. I mean, there's a lot of work yet to be done. But I think, maybe there should be someone else on there as well. And I don't know.
I don't say it's like someone like Rich Sano there, who has knowledge of it.
What's that? I didn't hear that.
I don't know if he's interested, I'm just.
Oh, Rich St. Hilaire?
Yeah.
Oh,
As a subject matter expert on the landfill, yes. I would think we put that out to the public though.
Yeah, we could, exactly, ask anyone who's
I
interested.
think if we go with our
Yeah.
own ideas on who should be on there, maybe there may be someone that we don't know about in the town of Kingston who can
I'd be
bring
happy to put a
expertise.
release out. Do you want to see it before I submit it? I'd be happy to do that. Just asking for community volunteers to work
Yeah.
on a solar panel group and I can list Rick and Glenn, who have already, and you and I are going to be on it, and open it up to the public and see who else would like to participate with us.
Does that work?
Is that okay?
I just, we tap the same people,
I got you.
cast a little wider net.
Yeah, it's
I
worth
think
asking.
something like this would draw some other people out that would be interested in a project like this, so it wouldn't hurt to cast that out.
Okay.
So can I piggyback?
And I'm sorry, what were you gonna do with that? You gonna put it on the website and an article on the carriage top or something, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can give it a copy of the article to Susan to post for me.
Yep.
Yeah, I put it in the carriage shot, I put it on Seacoast Online, Facebook,
Yeah.
and see what comes in. Do you want me to keep going to my committee liaison, or do you have something to pit? You want to talk about the Buttercup roaming the range up there?
No, I was gonna bring up, just the town recycling program. I would like to start a committee for that as well.
For the what?
Oh, a transfer station.
Yeah, so where we're gonna be handling our own recycling, we're getting to the point where our waste management contract is gonna be coming up soon. And we need to seek out alternatives, because that's gonna be a major increase in our budget if we don't. Had a couple people approach me about volunteering for it, but again, I was gonna put a notification out there for other people in the town. And then just if any other selectmen would like to serve on that committee as well.
Okay, do you want me to do two separate articles? Because I can do two of them, or you want me to piggyback, you know, want to do it
Probably
combined?
should just do two separate ones,
Okay, yeah.
just to not confuse the issue, but.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind sitting on a solid waste or something, but if someone else wants to, go ahead, but, that is something that is gonna be, we're gonna have to do due diligence, but I'd like to see about, I know you and Rich already talked about possibly doing a transfer station as well and involved in it, but.
Yeah, I mean, and again, this is gonna require a lot of, investigation. I've checked out a couple other towns' setups, and I think we've gotta decide, what Rich and I have discussed, Rich St. Hilaire, is focusing more on the actually valuable products, the aluminum, the paper, you know, certain types of plastics, very few types of plastics, and then
Cardboard.
the cardboard, just things like that, where we're aggregating those things and selling them in bulk.
Yep.
And so hopefully that will offset any costs of the program and potentially drive income that can offset our solid waste bill. So that would be the intent, but before I proceed, I just want to put it before the board and I can draw up a blurb on that and.
I believe our contract runs out 2023, March, or actually it might even be.
I think it's October
June.
next year.
Is it 2022,
I
really?
believe so, yes.
Okay.
Could you check on that for us,
I
Susan,
think that's
please?
right, because this will be my third year.
I think it was signed in
I think it's 2
2017.
years when I came on, 5-year contract.
So you think it's next year or year after?
I think it's Woodfield is that the end of 2022, like October or something like that.
Okay, well, Susan will find out for us.
Yeah.
All right, I'll draft two up, I'll send them to you just to take a quick look at them. If you want to add, tweak one or the other, be my guest. How's that sound?
Perfect, thank you.
HEC is meeting tomorrow night to review the first unveiling of the proposed seminary project. If you don't mind, Phil, I'd just soon send out copies to the select board so you get to see it, you know, sometime tomorrow, if that's okay. And to Graham as well, because of this height of the building. It's 4 stories on the proposed apartments, so he's gonna wanna take a look at that. But you should see it, because it's gonna be open to the public tomorrow night, and I want you to see what it's gonna look like. We're not gonna have a lot of specific details tomorrow. This is just the conceptual plans of what he proposes the project to look like, and he wants us to get some feedback from the Historic District Commission and what they like or don't like, and move forward from there. It looks pretty sharp, in my opinion. The Zoning Board of Adjustment is meeting Wednesday night, and there are 2 hearings. One is for a house on 2nd Street, 3rd Street, 3rd Street, and they want to tear down what's there and rebuild, and they need 5 variances, and appealing a special exception and an administrative decision. And I don't know why they don't choose to do, they want to do the same footprint as opposed to moving it back a foot out further away from the water. So that's why they have all those variances. They spend a lot of money for it, but that's their choice to do that. The other proposal is to the 9 Main Street, across from the garage, Corn property. They want to put in overhead door garage, a garage door business, and self-storage units. It's neither prohibited nor permitted in that district. So they're coming before the zoning board to get permission to locate it in there. And I've already had a neighbor call, so I don't know how that's going to go either. The other thing is personnel policy. We met today and reviewed the first.
If I opened that door, I just realized it was closed, we're in public.
They're talking out there.
Okay.
So the personnel policy, we reviewed the policy, we made some tweaks and so forth, and it's gonna go to attorney, but what we need some feedback from you all on is vacation time. I think we're a little bit stingy, is the word I would use when it comes to vacation times for our employees. I already beat up Kevin on a couple other things that I thought.
Well, what did you beat me up?
I did.
I think she's still gonna take me to the woodshed.
I said, are you
She
sure?
didn't have a thought.
Are you sure you're a conservative?
Well, we're trying to retain people, but anyway, so as it's written right now, The vacation policy is 1 full year to 7 years, you get 2 weeks. After 7 years, you get 3 weeks. And more than 7 years, you accrue some time. So what Ellie was presenting, or questioning, was
Proposed.
1 week after proposing, 1 week for the first year. Your second year, you get 2 weeks. And for years 3 to 5 through, you get 3 weeks. Okay, so you don't get another week till 6-year mark, and then you get a 4th week. And then what we're thinking is at the 10-year mark, you can accrue 1 day a year
For 5 years to get.
for a maximum of 5 weeks.
Now, where you might think it's over generous in that 3 to 5, you'd go to 3. And then the 6, you'd go to 4.
Why don't you set up an accrual rate for the whole thing?
Why didn't I set up what?
Accrue it, because if people need, if you're in a 2-year mark, you can't have 2 days.
Why don't you do a minimum, you know, of a week first year and then accrue after that where it equals out, so.
And I would agree with that, but we don't have the software. We're still kind of in the dark ages in our whole payroll system. In a more.
We can't keep up with that on payroll?
I didn't ask that question.
I don't know if I want to.
If you have it, I've experienced it through the Tribune, and it's really nice to see. You accrue vacation time with X amount of work time.
Yeah.
And you can look at your pay stub and see exactly how much vacation time you have, or how many sick time you have.
I
Available.
hope that's on our pay steps now, but should.
I don't know. I have no idea because what we do as selectmen is not the same. I mean, we get a stipend. It's not like we're.
I mean, I guess it would work out in 2 years. If you get 2 weeks, 2 years, and then the 3rd year you earn a day, 4th year you earn another day, 5th year you earn another day. That's 2 weeks, 3 days.
Well, it doesn't mean it has to be a day. It could be a day and a third. It could be X number of hours. I mean, you could.
I would recommend that you think about it, give it some thought, because ours is pretty weak, I think.
I agree with that, but.
And so I really want to
It's pretty
see.
big steps there, I think.
Yeah, but the 3 weeks, when you get to 3 weeks, you start moving forward. It's important, I think.
Just keep in mind right now, you got to be a 7 years to get 3 weeks.
And I think that's too long of a haul.
Yeah.
So think about it. I'll bring it up again next week if that's okay. Or do you want to bring it up at the department head meeting? Talk about it there.
Either one.
It's up to you.
What does the state do?
I don't know.
I think they accrue from day one.
I think it'd be worth looking at like state, county, and a couple local towns,
What does county do?
just for a basis.
It's similar. It's built each year. You get it's staggered. I could get the exact number. I'll get the county,
can
and
you-
I can get the state.
Oh, okay, if you would
I'll
do
get the
that.
county and state.
Okay. I think it's accrued on that level.
Jane
Okay.
just took a job at Exeter Hospital,
Yeah.
and her vacation time, even though she's working 1 shift a week, starts immediately at so many hours.
It's
so many hours per
accrued.
shift.
It's accrued by the time worked.
So if she goes 4 or 5 weeks, 4 or 5 years without a vacation, she's got 2 or 3 weeks,
Correct.
you know.
That's correct. That's pretty standard in the private sector these days. It's not unusual.
But one thing about it is if you accrue it, you get to carry it over. If it's vacation hours, typically you don't. Like if you say you get 2 weeks, you don't
Yeah,
use
and-
them, you lose them.
And we don't lose them. I mean, we lose them. If the employee doesn't use them within that calendar year, they do lose them.
For fairness, Ray mentioned about doing earned time versus vacation, but we just figured this would be the most easiest thing to swallow, is just changing it a little bit to be a little more gracious to the employees for a work-life balance, because 3 weeks after 7 years isn't reasonable.
No, and it also may be worthwhile investing in some software that can keep up with it. vacation and sick time.
And that day is coming, it may not be right now because we have so many things on the plate, but I see that coming.
We know there are people that take days off here and there and sick time here and there, and it never gets recorded. It's
And the only thing to keep in mind, and it was brought to our attention, we agree, but there's a lot of long-term employed people here that this would affect. You know, so so we'd have to look at that too, whether you grandfather it or whether you make them earn it from this point forward, because there's a lot of long-term employees already that are in
Well,
this.
you're not gonna take away from those that already have.
Right,
it.
no, absolutely not.
Not gonna happen. And I have one more thing under personnel, and that's the credit cards. We had, I believe the last time we met as a department heads, we had said, let us know which option you want, because with one bank, it wouldn't matter whether the employee had their credit, social security on file or not, didn't matter, and the other one it did. And, I've had one person say that they would not want to have their name on there. So, should we, Chief, I thought you said it was okay with you guys. I thought Rich said they were okay, and Graham said it was okay. I didn't ask Paul. I think we should go with partners because they're the new guys and we'd like to kind of start doing something with them. If an employee didn't want to be on a card, then one thing would be not to have a card in their name. Would be the easiest thing, the simplest, as opposed to having one employee with a different bank. I don't think we could do that. I think we should stick with one or the other. Right, no, I'm not suggesting that we do, but if someone didn't want to have their information registered with the bank, then they don't get a card. I think it would be just that simple. I've only had one person say that, and I can respect that individual's choice, but the other thing would be using someone else's card, but I don't know if I want to go there.
I would propose we still sit down and maybe invite partners to come in and talk to us, maybe a non-public session or something.
What about the next department head meeting, have them come in for that? That way the department heads can be here, they can hear the whole spiel from them, and, well,
That
they're
would
not
be
passing
great.
information on second.
That would be
hand.
great. I think we should do that, because we need to put this to rest.
Yes, we do.
And get those cards out. So let's, and Susan, I don't know who's gonna, you invite them?
Cindy has
Ask
a
Cindy-
connection, I can have her.
Ask Cindy to invite them to our meeting, on November 29th, is it?
Yeah.
The last Monday in November.
And then just reiterate that it was not, this one, if everyone can take a look at the credit card policy and start with that, get that approved for next month. Take a look at it and see what you think.
Yeah, that's
Did you want, have you read it all? Do you want to wait to vote on it next week? It's your choice. We can vote on it next week, it's fine with me.
Yeah, I would prefer to
All
look at
right.
it one more time.
Then put on the agenda for next week, Susan, if you wouldn't mind, and we'll vote on it then.
But isn't that gonna vary depending on which bank we go with?
I don't think so, it's how.
I don't think it matters.
It's
Policy.
how it's used,
not gonna
right.
matter.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, I'm done. I've been a busy girl.
Dawn, you got anything?
Budget committee was supposed to meet last Wednesday, they got canceled, because people couldn't make the meeting, so they're gonna do a double session on the 14th of November, so it should be a long day, but,
Lucky
I
you.
don't have anything on that.
I met with the Kingston Museum crew Friday. Very productive meeting, but part of what they're gonna do is start sending us minutes to glance at, and, main part of my speech was to toot their own horn and to let people know what they're achieving, because a lot of things they do get unnoticed, so that's the purpose of this. They're also gonna check into the bylaws and everything and make sure they're following their procedures and have procedures for everything. Planning board pretty much know everything. The last thing they wanted was, planning board was sending us a letter from, saying that Mr. Wilder's free and clear, which they said at the meeting that they were gonna confirm that in a letter. I think that's it.
Okay. Old business. Susan has compiled a comparison of the scanning.
I don't have that. I think I know it, but
I'm not looking at this.
Evan, you have a whole packet there, so you want to copy first. It's a little much to digest.
this was, very hard to do. It was tough reading.
Well, it's a lot of detail, and they don't quite
It
match
was-
up, so.
I mean, it was like somebody threw a basket of fruit in there and you had to describe each and every one, decide what they had in common, what they had different. I mean, it was,
That's a great analogy, Rich.
it was tough. And, what we did is I went through and picked out my favorites, she went through and picked out her favorites, and then we compared. And 3 of the top 4 were the same. And the only reason I didn't like one she liked was I thought they were too far away. The biggest expense is sorting out the files to get them ready to scan, which is something that if we wanted to do, we could save some money, but it would probably take us forever to do it.
We don't want to do that.
And it would not be this staff that did it, it would be an outsourced source like a high school committee or something that needed a project or something.
Given how hard it is to find help, I don't just soup pay man. I know it's.
I mean, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pay for a lot of things to be scanned twice. And as long as we realize that,
But some of them include in the prep, taking out double pages.
right,
Or blank pages.
So looking at this, would we automatically, I don't know what this SOC2 compliant security is, but 3 of them aren't. And they're the ones that have the weird pricing that doesn't match the others. So do you like automatically throw those out and break down the others?
which ones are you throwing out?
I think it was in the.
RICO, Records Force, New England Document, and GRM are all SOC2 compliant, whatever that
That's a
is.
security.
Okay, and they're all pretty much in the same ballpark. Then you get this 54,000, 59,000, 79,000, and they are not SOC2 compliant, which I don't even know what that means, but it was enough that someone
It's
wrote it
gonna be
there.
important.
Yeah,
It sounds
because
like
it's a $40,000
it costs $50,000
difference.
more than everyone else.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about public files that are available to anybody off the street, so how much security do we need?
Well, except for police files
Okay.
and medical files, those have to be.
And I believe the medical files would clarify that that's stuff that they have to keep, that's going away. So really, it would just be,
Just the police.
I just don't think we need double ultra security for, someone getting a variance to have a dog shed.
What we had kind of talked about was taking out,
You're just picking on my committee.
we had thought about.
I didn't say it was approved.
We had talked.
We all know it was, though.
You want to get this meeting over, we were talking about picking the top 3 and bringing them back in and talking to them about our individual issues and clarifying some of the stuff, because there were a few points that they didn't make, and she would call and ask, and they'd say, oh, no, we include that. So some of the things they thought were so common that they didn't even think to mention.
And the one did offer, if you want to come and look at our facility, we recommend that you do, and then they can also walk you through the software that they're recommending, and there's a lot to it like that. And one of the cheaper ones, by the way, does not follow up with a software. They basically supply you with a scanner and a
And no
computer,
support.
and you're just gonna do it your own thing after that.
That doesn't work. Which one was that one?
I think that was Morgan.
Okay, let's cross that one right out.
Which one was that?
Morgan.
You're $5,000 cheaper, take it easy.
Well,
But
and
they're not.
Cheaper isn't better.
it might be that you can, add your software later. I wasn't sure. That was a question I had for them, but it sounded like they're different in that they're setting you up with a workstation.
Most of them had 2 storage places, like they had the cloud and then a backup of their own Some of them had some pretty high monthly fees, but did more for that monthly fee. That's where we need to talk to them and say,
Well, I guess that's what it has to come down to. It's going to the cloud, so we have to be assured that the cloud is gonna be there to access it.
but most of them had a secondary site too, so if there was an issue with the cloud, there's still some.
They had
place we
backup.
cover.
They had
Yeah,
backup.
no, I
to
agree,
backup.
but that's what I'm saying. You gotta be, you can't just say it's in the cloud and then suddenly, well, 5 years from now, the cloud disappears.
Sunny day.
Seemed like most of them were in the neighborhood of 800,000 documents. They all kind of picked the same range. Couple of them said that they absolutely weren't responsible for the accurate estimate.
Because they didn't come out and.
Right, the total
but they-
amount.
They pretty much all said, even if they came out, there's bound to be a little
Discrepancy.
change in that, but they did the best they could with a ballpark. Some just went with the estimate that I put on the RFP, which was pretty much,
Okay,
out of the air.
I would say the one that requires us to box the records.
But one of them said it and didn't mean it.
Say it again, Phil, what'd you say?
New England Document Systems,
We-
town would be responsible for boxing records.
We definitely don't want box the documents. And my first question is why they're taking everything out and boxing it instead of just taking a file cabinet. So
Boy,
that's,
that'd be
that's one of the questions I was gonna ask. Is
Probably
why not-
easier to have it in boxes when they,
Yeah, we've got to decide what we want back and what we want shredded. Most of them offer shredding anything we want to shred and getting rid of it.
they keep it
Well,
for a
we're also-
month, I think.
I mean, they're the most expensive one, so I mean,
Who is it?
the one he just mentioned, I mean, it's just like, yeah. it's-
Rico?
No, New England document. I mean, you could probably throw that, I mean, you could stop by throwing the top one out and the least cheapest one out.
Yeah, we were just trying to find out what the differences were, what are we missing here, why is it so much more? But, with the top categories that I thought we were interested in knowing, how much prep are they gonna do? Did they have that?
I just look at
compliance
the 112, again, I'd be curious what the SOC2 compliance is.
I think
but-
they put it in if they had it because it was in the RFP.
So if it should be, the three of them are pretty close. You're 103, 112, and 107.
But the 103, that was one of Susan's favorites and not one of mine because I think they ship everything to Pennsylvania to do it.
No, the other one's in Pennsylvania. It doesn't have a location here. Pennsylvania was.
Rico's in when they came and presented to us, I think they're in Worcester, they're
Oh.
close.
Very nice.
Scantech, it says company is in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they were part of it.
The other thing is one of the guys that came we were pretty impressed with. The individual that came, but he probably didn't have anything to do with it after the estimating stage.
Which company was he with?
Inception, the rep was very
Inception.
knowledgeable and experienced.
I mean, a couple of these look like Eagle Scouts presenting the program, or, that
Yeah,
maybe it was a first estimate, but,
and they may be fine, but we're just trying to figure out who.
I mean, it's
that
probably
is.
one of those things where they have a calculator that says X number of file drawers at 90% capacity of this many documents, so.
Probably, they probably have statistics on that.
Yeah, so I mean.
How many file drawers do we have? We have 42 or 420, times whatever the average amount.
But like I said, I think the next step would be is if we pick 3 or 4 of these, bring them back in, talk to them, and then get it down to that for making a decision.
Okay.
Because we should be able to get that done next week, I would think, that they'd be willing to come in.
Yeah, I started a comparison of per page cost and that sort of thing. I'm not sure that's a big difference though. I think
The actual scanning is cheap.
it's easy for them.
That's,
But it's labor intensive and everything that goes into
it's
that.
the prep that costs so much
It's
money.
like prep. They go through and they barcode things, they sort it out, they take out.
So, with that in mind, I mean, it breaks my heart because it's one of the cheaper ones, but can we just rule out the 2 that do not include boxing and labeling files? I don't think that's anything we want to do.
We absolutely don't want to, but we want to, if those were on our list, which
Okay.
I don't think they were.
So this brings us full circle to where we were, with the exception of Scantech. I mean, it seems like Rico's the cheapest, has been consistently, and then there's, you know, we can change the level of scan from statistical to standard to save $4,000 on their price.
Yeah, Rico has, the QC, is that, they'll do an extra level of QC, they'll do a percentage, or they'll do the whole box, you know, and then you pay more if you want them to look at every single page twice. So I think that was one thing that you had some options on. Rico was more like that, about giving you levels, what you want to have done. Their first estimate was strictly town hall, it was $95,000, just for comparison, and they did go through everything then.
I mean, when they initially came to us, we found out that they were pretty much the standard. You know, they were Rico.
Yeah, well, I was all pro Rico before we got this.
Yeah, and I think our concern was that we didn't have any comparison basis. I mean, I don't see any reason to put this off.
I'd be real comfortable with Rico as well, because they're a very well-known company. They've been around a while. They've been in the paper business, if you will, for years. These are not new kids on the block.
I mean, I don't know how much you wanna break it down. It's, if you're looking at price, they're right in the middle, you know,
I think they're all pretty close to the same price-wise if you go into what they're doing and not doing and what they're adding,
yeah.
what they're not adding. I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
They're by far not the most expensive, by
No.
any stretch of the imagination.
but we know the name.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't
And
know
if
how much
they're-
more heavy lifting you wanna do. We got the proposals here, you guys spent probably more than a day just breaking them down. I don't know how much more you wanna break it down.
I'd say let's move on it.
I mean, this is the number we've been going with in our head, that it's gonna be about $100,000 to do this.
That's pretty much on the money.
I mean, the Scantech people don't have that security rating, and they're in Pennsylvania. I would just assume use a local company that we can tap here. The only thing that gives me, so they have on-premise server and cloud document management system, so.
You want a motion?
the only other thing is this one says that it does not include license estimated typically $500 to $900 per user. You know, so that's the kind of thing we thought we need to talk to them about, is to make sure they weren't gonna add to get us.
You know, some of the programs to go forward with are pretty expensive. They want to kind of.
You know,
But
how
that's gonna be the case to get a good program that has regular updates. I won't be surprised at that at all. You're not gonna have 10 people doing that. You might have 5.
Yeah.
So it might cost us $2,500 a year or every other year to renew the
Some of them,
licensing.
some of them have a monthly fee for, you know, different things, but I'm fine with Rico, I mean, if that's the way you wanna go. I don't,
It's like buying toilet paper. I mean, it all does the same thing at the end of the day. I just, you know,
I disagree. It's the same, but
no, it isn't, and that's what I'm saying. You got your single ply here for $54,000, you got your standard double ply that'll do the job at 103, so let's,
and you get your quilted.
yeah, I mean, it's the quilted perfume stuff for 148.
but which one clogs the scanner?
You guys are.
I think you're gonna pay all the lists some sort of user fee and everything else, and they seem pretty reasonable.
I'm with
The
you.
only thing I think this would play into is if we had an established system that this was feeding into, we would have to get some sort of like, you know, interconnectability or whatever, but we have nothing, so whatever they give us is what we're
And
starting.
the other good thing about going ahead and picking somebody is that when we're in the process of iPads or laptops, whatever we go, we can make sure we get something that's compatible with these,
That's true too.
that will run the program, because we don't allow pads that are so cheap they won't be
Well,
able
we're
to
gonna
run
take
this.
care of down there.
Well, I mean, I guess the only question that would hold me off from making a motion tonight is just getting, and I'm assuming it's in those documents, just the license agreement. Because if we have 6 people who are gonna be on there and that's all it's gonna be, that's fine. But if we have 20 people that need to access this and we're paying,
All right,
I don't see that happening.
let's think about what we need. Tori needs one. Tammy would need one. We would have to have one at a desk for the public, so that's 3. Then what are you gonna do with inspectors? Building inspector, code enforcement, that's 5. Susan gonna need one, yes, that's 6.
well,
Or are you gonna put one central computer that everybody can use?
yeah, I think how often are we digging into the property files?
Constantly.
Well, how often are you digging into the property files?
A few times a week I need to do, because Tori's usually manning the window where people are asking.
But you could use Tori's computer for that or not?
Yeah, I mean, as long as I have access, it should, this is the question that I had, the program should be available on your other computer. It seems like you ought to be able to access it. Because some of these things like property files, I thought people should be able to access them from home. Just like you do anything that's on the website.
I don't agree with that.
Do we want to ask Block 5 for some advice on this?
Well, I think this should be for the end user, it should still be in the town hall. That's where the customer interfaces with it is at the town hall. I don't think that's gonna change versus what we have now. It's just gonna be on a screen versus a file.
So, what if somebody comes in like they do now and wants 4 pages out of that file that they're looking at on the computer? We're gonna send it to the printer and then charge them for it?
Yeah, that's the way it works.
Okay, so what are you gonna do? So we could have one computer where it's accessible to the public, which is one license, one on Tory.
Well, wouldn't someone be able to go on our website and look up the property folder and then print it out at home? Is that not gonna happen?
Well, that's what I'm wondering, because right now you can look up the property cards, you can look up edits, you can do a lot of things that are gonna also be on here, so I would think there'd be different levels of access. Obviously, they're not gonna be able to.
Correct, that's exactly correct. They won't be able to manipulate the data or make any changes to the data.
Right, but they can look at
Whereas-
it, print it.
But Tory should be able to, or a health and building inspector, or they won't be able to add to the files, but some of our employees would be
Yeah.
needed to do
And
that.
I think that's where the user licenses come in. They're able to manipulate it and add and subtract.
I think,
and all that.
I think Phil is right, because each department's gonna have to have a certain amount of users.
Yeah, because the police department's gonna have to have access for their records in particular. Same with the fire. Same with the town hall, Tammy and Tory. So there's 4 right there. We haven't even talked about the library, although they're not quite the level of sophistication in terms of these records, because they pretty much have their stuff already. So
It really depends on how much, like as a health officer, if you wanted me to be able to be out looking at a septic system and punch in and say, yeah, your plan's updated, blah, 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 you know, it's over here, blah, 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 blah.
yeah.
You know, dealing with place across the street like I am now, I can go in and look up all the records while I was there. Whether you want people to be able to know that stuff or if you want to make them come to town hall.
That's all public information anyways.
But I mean, it's whether you want me to be able to do it on the street or make them come to town hall like they do now to go through it.
If I have my druthers, I'd rather have you be able to do it on the street to streamline the use of your time and the homeowners, because things would go faster. If you can issue a permit on site, do it right on your tablet, and then all the other inspectors know exactly what got permitted that day, that moment, and they have it accessible on their tablet. I think that's important. That's what we want. I would like to see that, because that's getting involved in the digital ages. You have to be able to do that. So is it going to cost us? Maybe it will cost us $500 per user, but we do need to know that.
Well, why don't we put this off for another week? I don't think another week's gonna hurt us, and let us confirm user use, what they're talking about.
Talk to Rico. I think that's, we seem
Well,
to
that's
be,
what we'll talk to, is just Rico.
we seem to be leaning towards them as doing what the big
I'm fine with
together.
that decision, I just wanna make sure that it's got everything that we think it does.
Okay.
Yeah, and they all separate their scan
with standard scanners, and for the amount of time we scan plans, we could go to a RAM and have them scan them and send them to us and put it in there. You know, so I don't think we need to go to a scanner that takes up
No,
more room.
no, that's a huge piece of equipment.
Trying to get rid of crap right now, not get more room.
Anything else you want to add?
I think that pretty much covered it. We just want to fine tune, if we got it narrowed down to, just to double check a few things with Rico to start with. If there are any more questions, we can ask the others.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, as two end users, what do you wanna see?
Please.
You don't have to ask me, I'm just saying, you should propose those questions to Rico. Can we see what this will look like? Your final product, when you give us this in digital format, what does it look like? How do we access it? Who can access it? What do we have to pay for that?
Yeah,
That's
bring us
what I wanna
computer,
know.
bring us computer and demonstrate.
Because I'm just looking through this and it's pretty light on it, as you
Yeah,
said. There's not much detail on it. You know, there's a lot of like quality control and how they're gonna box it and everything like that, but
Right, they're heavier on the scanning part, where I think it's records first, it's in Portsmouth, he was all over, if this is hard to describe, we would wanna come in and demonstrate how this is gonna work, and I think we should take advantage of that.
One thing that he said too is that you could go into a property file and type in septic, and it would give you every document that had septic in it.
They're all doing that.
Now, do they all do that?
When they do the scanning and the digitizing, they're, putting, I forget what the term is, but it's recognition, so that any term, anywhere in it, you can search by.
But I mean, I wanna make sure like Rico's does that.
Yeah, exactly.
So will our mainframe do everything we need to do in this building?
I mean, we just have to double check, right? It just means you have to maybe do an upgrade to it, but it should be able to, or will.
Yeah, we haven't bought that mainframe yet, so
Right,
this
we
is
haven't
gonna have
got- we're
to
not
fit
there
into
yet.
it, so I don't see that as it's not a conflict at this point.
it's probably worthwhile to run this by Block 5 though.
Yeah.
just make
Yeah,
sure
I
that
see, I
we can
do see
that.
that.
Yeah.
So we'll talk to Rico and we'll talk to the other guy that we liked,
And talk to
Just
Block
compare.
5,
and Block 5.
yeah,
Yeah.
get some input from them. Good,
Yeah.
Okay.
good job.
Started with more questions than answers, we're getting there.
Well, that's okay, and now's the time to ask the questions.
I'll say,
If you
looking,
had read these,
I'll just look into them real quick to see who had reference, who didn't, and
Almost
other
all of
stuff is, you did a lot of work to break it down to this.
Yeah.
So, good job.
almost all of them had references of major towns. There were just some were in Mass, some were in New Hampshire, some were,
Pennsylvania, Virginia.
yeah.
Okay, employee evaluation forms. Is there an update?
We finished them, I haven't seen the final piece of it. Cindy didn't send up?
No. I
Okay,
think she
we have to
had
move that to the
answers.
next, she didn't, we
Okay.
need to see it first,
Yeah.
we're done with it.
Okay.
Okay, we're done. The subgroup is done, but, so you need to read it and approve it. So they add that to next week too. What's that?
Read it and approve it.
Yeah, exactly, tell me what to do. Or tweak as you need to. And you may need to.
So, Consolidated is saying they haven't put a single poll up since 2015?
Pretty much. I reached out to them with their own list
They suck.
that showed all the polls that went up since then. And the answer seems to be, these all would have been replacements for older polls that would not be considered a
Oh,
poll.
I get it. I thought they meant no new holes, but
Okay,
they
yeah.
meant nothing
They
that
put out
wasn't
79.
replacement.
Yeah, that makes
How come we
sense.
have
So-
2 in some places?
What's the value of the poll if they haven't polled?
What's that?
What's the value of the poll that they haven't polled, which is a number?
If they didn't get a license, then it was $10 that we didn't get.
No, not license fee, but there's gotta be a value that they're estimated at.
Well, I think we went round and round on that. We need to initiate the proper procedure with the PUC. So we need to say to them that you have 30 days to replace these double poles. And
We didn't do that already?
I don't know.
I thought we had sent them a letter saying
I
that.
don't think we've addressed the double poles yet, we were trying to get through this part.
There still has to be some value to that double pole. Because you're looking at the cost of pulling it, the cost of the value of it, right? There's gotta be some value to it.
Well, I guess what I was told is that unless we do this thing where we notify them that they need to be removed, they have 30 days to do so, and then we can retain an independent contractor to do the work and then back charge them through the PUC. That's really our only recourse. We don't have it. There's one on there, I think it was 7 or 8 years that it's been a double pole, and they probably owe us for it, but in my research, it just basically, I was told that unless you follow this process, it's not going anywhere. So,
There's a number of double poles.
yeah, I think it was 79 or 77 that Kevin counted out, so. But, Susan, why don't we get together this week and we'll send that, all your friends over at Consolidated, we'll reach out to them with that information.
Okay. With the double pole
Yes.
information,
So
so,
I'm doing the final check on Affinity, on all of their new lights that are up. I've started that process through the town, just to make sure they're all in place.
I didn't get an email from them about those poles we questioned, the lights we questioned. Did you get anything back from them?
There's one that we should change, I can see it automatically, down Hunt Road, where the road used to swing wide, quarter of a mile down. The street light is actually, the poles are still on the old line, and the street light's off into the woods. So I recommend
So it's
we pull
what's
that, we pull that one out of there and put it exactly what you talked about.
But the three on Ball Road that weren't converted, did we figure out if?
I haven't got all of them yet on that list. So I've got 100, I think it's 111 or 115 lights
Okay.
that I'm going out and check.
Okay.
Back to the poll real quick, does that include like transformers that when a neighborhood's underground?
pole licenses,
So,
conduit,
yeah, there's supposed to be like, there's something else for that. There's a different assessment, so that I don't think we can get a license for that, but there's an assessment for buried.
Well, my point is like solar, Hunt went in after 2015, they've got boxes throughout there, it's underground services.
It's in that new policy includes underground conduit, but I don't know what we did up till then, it was strictly poles.
Okay.
Right, they've been pushing underground cable.
I think every new neighborhood has to be underground.
Yeah, I mean, I went through and I did a quick check of everything that came in after 2015, and pretty much all of them have, all of them have.
The other thing that's happening.
Well, that's what I mean, does that count against the
No,
poll?
because
Units.
the one that bothers me is that huge white box they've got on there now, that's like the size of that fridge,
Well, it's
hanging
not-
on people's pole, and it's like, how is that okay?
Yeah,
We're not getting anything for that.
There's a number of those all over town.
Yeah, and they just kind of sprung up out of nowhere.
It's part of that.
It's part of the new
Fiber
cable system.
optic, yeah.
Yeah,
It is-
that's
it is
what
part of
Guy
the
said,
system.
that your TV's gonna pick up from that box.
Yeah.
I get that, but if it were in my yard, I'd probably be a little unhappy about that. You want to
Great
know whole
reception.
The other thing you want to be aware about is when Consolidated isn't setting and replacing condemned poles, Unitil is setting them. So it isn't all a Consolidated set now, it's a Unitil set. So both are doing it.
Are they, but they're still technically consolidated poles, aren't they?
Well, Unitil is setting them. So they have so long to.
So now we're gonna have
request a
three
Unitil-
poles?
A Unitil to set them, and if they don't, I forgot what the time period is, then Unitil can go out and set the pole, so just be aware there's two sets now.
Okay, but if that's the case, then Unitil needs to be coming in for pole
They do.
licenses, because it's a change in ownership. They have that little shell company that they've used despite Consolidated being 5 other businesses in the past 10 years. They still have the same Northern New England
Yeah.
something.
But Unitil is doing sets now.
Okay. Susan, why don't we look into that while we're
Okay.
looking at
So-
twin poles? New business.
I have a couple of budget questions.
So I have something for board business. It's just going over the initial list we had for the Santa Claus money. And I think that will segue into a budget thing. Do you wanna do that, or do you wanna go?
Right now.
Okay. So the first thing with the ARPA funds is apparently we should have taken the full amount, even though we only got a check for half of it, we should have taken the full amount as unanticipated funds. My question on that is, do we have to have another hearing?
Cindy was told at her conference, just make sure that you voted to accept the whole amount. I don't think you need the whole, I think you, I don't
I
remember.
think you need to post it on the hearing next week, I do think
Post
so.
it.
You want
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's not the amount that was posted in the hearing for the amount we accepted,
Okay.
for the check. So I think you do have.
I'm sure we'll have such resounding participation as we did
And-
last time.
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, just schedule it at the beginning of the meeting.
But we need to accept it now, or do we do it at the?
Get rid of that.
You know what, we can move to accept it now and then have the
Based on
hearing
whether- I
and
think that's what we
reaffirm
did
the
last time.
acceptance.
Yeah, I think we did that last time.
Okay, so I'll move that we accept $674,829 as ARPA funds for 2021.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay. So, I guess I just wanted to kind of figure out where we were at. We got our list in the department head meetings. A lot of these had prices on there. Obviously, we're making progress with the scanning of the documents. There's just some outliers here that I just wanted to go through to make sure that we were either taking action on or
Moving
just
on.
see where we were at. So, tax collector, town clerk, I think she had dollar amounts on everything. I guess we'll just have to verify what she would put in her budget for this year and what we'll be buying with that. The big thing was the phone system, I guess. For a town-wide phone system. And I can't for the life of me remember who was looking into that. Graham was.
Yeah, and actually, I got an email from him on that, asking, I thought he sent it to all of us.
He sent it to me and you.
Yeah, okay, that, he didn't know whether to go further with block 5 on the phone so that we have a unified system, and I would say, yes, we do need to have a unified system. I want the same system in the fire station, the police station, the highway garage, town hall,
And the library.
and the library. God love them.
In the museum.
All right, so.
Okay, so,
Okay,
I
you want me,
thought it was gonna be so you could take your phone and plug it in anywhere.
That's what it is, it's
Yes.
VoIP.
So we wanted it in every town building,
Yeah.
recreation, we want everywhere.
Yeah.
so do you want me to ask Greg to continue the lead on that?
Yeah, can you follow up with him? I mean, ideally, in all these scenarios, we wanna get at least 3 bids so we can make an informed decision.
Okay.
Go from there. The other big one was, my own brain here.
We got the audio for up here.
Yes, thank you.
And we got the laptops or pads or whatever.
Dawn, I know you had the guy in here for that. Can we?
2 years ago?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
I got the guy from Salem, Taylor.
Yeah, I got the guy out of Mass that does a lot of building.
Can we just have them update their quotes?
Sure.
I think given supply chain issues and all these things that are, I think we're all in agreement, that's what we wanna proceed with. I just wanna keep our momentum going on that. Like, that poor kid trying to present tonight, you know, it would've been nice if we had a TV or two, but.
So
Yeah.
audio with 3 TVs.
I think you gotta ask, because the TVs aren't necessarily the way to go, because I've been at the fire station in that small conference room with someone presenting on a 50-inch TV. You can't see it if you're, you can't, it doesn't work. Even if you put an 80-inch TV here, it's not designed for that. You know, it's PowerPoint.
So talk to him.
Exactly. Have the person that knows IT, that knows audio visual, give an idea.
And I think the key thing that we didn't really address last time is we need something that's modular, because there are gonna be changes coming to this room, specifically the stage and the rest of it, so, I mean, we want something that works now and can work in the future as well, if things change slightly or a lot. Video transmission capability. I suppose that would fall into that. Solar landfill, we covered that, recycling center. The IMC software, Don, you still wanted that to come out of the ARPA funds, yes?
Yes.
Okay. And I think Tammy's also the software for
Yeah.
works.
So ours was scanner, printer, several things
Yeah.
that we bring in.
Folder machine.
Folding machine, and we said we would take her scanner and send over there so they didn't have to buy one. But I
To
think
the
they've
museum.
already, I think they've already bought one. I
Of course they
think
did.
I think they got one for donations from Sanborn, but I'll verify that. Sanborn Cemetery.
So it's been decided the server's going in the fire station, yes?
I don't think that was
We
decided.
can settle on that.
I thought it was, but here we go.
The argument was they're gonna have a generator and can keep it going. We don't have one here.
Yeah, that was the last discussion.
I thought we would, it was,
So I
The last
think,
conversation I had with Block 5 was this, you never had a problem, actually, there was a proposal to put a generator in this building. Okay, but we've never lost it because of that, and if, you know, the majority users are here, not at the fire station, so you're gonna slow everyone else's speed by putting it over there.
Which we don't wanna do.
That's true.
even if we had a fiber optic line going from here to there,
If you wanna put a fiber optic line, yes, go right ahead, and then then it negates everything. Most of the users are right here, they're only cloud-based storage is all they are doing.
okay.
I think we talked to Block 5 and
add that to their list, yeah, because
Right.
I thought had come to the conclusion that it was gonna be okay across the street. Because we didn't have to deal with the generator here, but something got lost in the translation.
I mean, I don't think it's bad for long-term infrastructure to have fiber optic lines running between town
Yeah.
buildings.
I
don't
agree.
think that's,
Yeah, that's just cost of running the line,
And
that's
ARPA
not
funds
that.
certainly would cover that for us.
Yeah, I can't remember if he mentioned cost, but he just said the majority of users are here, if you put it over there, you're gonna slow these people down.
But not if we have that fiber optic, right?
okay. And then the only other one was building ventilation for this building and the PD, but I think that's probably not,
PD's done except for infrared lights.
Yeah.
Which we're talking
UV
about.
lights.
UV lights.
They
That
put it in
we're
first.
talking about for all the buildings.
and I guess the reason I had that in a separate area is since Santa Claus keeps reaching into his bag and pulling out more gifts, I mean, that would seem like that's more of like a medical COVID-specific type thing, whereas the ARPA funds were a lot more broad, so.
And you're not talking about a major amount of money here, you know, probably a top of the line light's gonna be $1,000–1,200 per system.
Yeah,
You got 4 systems in this building, you got 7 in the library, you got 2 at the police station. Fire station's got 1 or 2. So you're not talking about a giant amount of money. And you don't have to do them all in the first year, you could do the mostly occupied ones and spread it out a little.
And depending what we're gonna do for the reconfiguration here, we might not want to have this one as the first one, although that's where the problem is
right.
predominantly. The highest percentage of public use is here. So,
That's kind of true, but it's also spread out more. mean, I would probably right away put one on this system down there that does the downstairs.
Yeah, that's what I think we've got.
Because the big system back there does up here, these air conditioners come from the two systems in the attic, which would be pretty good to do in the summer, by summer. So if you did 3 in this building right away, you'd be in pretty good shape.
But that would be downstairs where the majority of the staff is. Okay.
Well, let's get some numbers together on that.
Okay.
What I'm gonna do, Susan, we'll get together this week when we go over the other stuff, and we'll just get this digitized and just do a status on each of these, and then we just kinda need to nail down where we're at, how we're gonna spend that money. I would like to get, the digitizing, we're making great progress on that, but
Probably the one thing we haven't done anything on that I know of is talking about what we want to do, laptops or notebooks, and who's getting them, and
It came down to what you want to use for software. And how accessible it is with, he said, let me know what you got for software, and then that makes the decision. And keep in mind, it seems iPads are great, but then when you go to do stuff, you get limited with an iPad. Laptop, you can do everything. You can get the foldable laptops that, the screen goes over, but you definitely limit yourself if you do the iPad. But he said it's gonna come down to software and how it integrates in with that.
So we get block 5 in and have it sit down as to what you need. Or they have you come to the inspector's meeting and get that started right there, because that's the initial.
well, I think we're not there yet.
no, we're not to
Okay.
the inspector's meeting yet.
Okay.
All right.
Just do a budget thing, or
Yeah, I just had a couple quick questions.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's all I had on that, so Susan and I will get a list of this out, and I wanna keep hitting this each week, so we're attacking these items, or if there's other things that come up, we can add that to the list and just keep addressing it, but we do owe, Mr. Koppelman and the CIP committee, if there's items that are gonna be coming off of that list via ARPA funds, or I guess we just wanna prioritize what we're doing immediately, what's gonna be next year. We've got 3 or 4 years to spend these funds, so we don't have to spend it all the way, but there are immediate needs.
He brought it up the other day about the office for the planning board, and I think we should probably put in the CIP and budget some money, at least to have some architectural designs of this whole building. Start looking for that downstairs, whatever.
But I wanted to come into the selectmen's support. I don't want to just designate for the planning board.
No, absolutely
I'm
not.
interested.
I'm saying for the whole building. Start considering, at least put budget for architectural design and see what is gonna work for us. And then the following year, we can actually budget
Well,
and
then you
start
can,
working.
then you can have a 3-year plan of what we're gonna do in
Yeah.
3 stages and budget accordingly so that the taxpayer doesn't get hit all at once.
So I don't know what that would be for architectural plans for this building, but I think, conceptual designs, I think we should consider putting that in the budget, or at least a CIP.
Well, we should, I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah.
Because, we've been kicking this can, we just need to do something.
I don't think we've been kicking the can, I think we've had small fixes that
Yeah,
we need to look at a little holistically.
right. So, and that's a
And the
simple thing.
digitization of records is gonna help open up some space.
Yep.
Not much.
Not a lot, I totally agree, and not unless we're gonna reconfigure the room, but you gotta start somewhere, and I think we shouldn't do any more piecemeal in here at all. Let's
Agreed.
look at a 10-year window or 20-year window instead.
But that's all I'm saying. I have a couple things in the budget. I don't know what the will of the board is, but I just looking over, pretty much ours is pretty standard stuff. But we do have a budget line for consulting services that we put there for PFAS. It was $100,000. And, it just came out the other day that there's gonna be some extra federal money for PFAS and remediation out of this whole Santa Claus. But we still want to budget $100,000 because the budget is up. Do we want to lower that to something like 60 or something? Or do we want to keep that at 100,000?
My first thought would be to drop it to 50 or 60.
think 60 gives us ample to do something if we have to.
I mean, if we run into an issue, I'm sure we'll find some ways to come up with a balance.
We're gonna, yeah, you know, I mean, if the DES came on, if we didn't budget for it, DES comes down on us, we have to do something, we're gonna have to find the money anyway, so I just think it lowers the budget that much money at least, but.
Yeah, I think at this point, as per council, this is probably what the status quo will look like going forward for the time being, so I think
For
50 or
several
60
groups,
is probably.
several groups are challenging us now, so we
Yeah.
should be the benefit of that.
All right, so let's move it down to 60,000.
60?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, you know, the other thing, when we met with Affinity, they're putting forward a proposal, and we'd have to go out to bid, for putting the, all town buildings LED. But when we're going through, we're gonna realize the savings for the streetlights. And city's still trying to compile what that savings gonna be. Like, I think this month it was already down $1,000. She's projecting $1,000 a month.
Wow.
But with that being said, when we looked at the streetlights now that they're converted, we're woefully unlit for a town. Not that we want to light the sky up with us, but Rich, myself, and the chief thought maybe if we kept $5,000 a year to upgrades, to add some lights. That only allows us to add 5 lights.
Where?
Don't know yet. That would be at the purview of the chief, I think.
Drop the names in a hat.
That's yet to be determined, but I'm saying before we start cutting that money, would we want to keep a revolving 5,000 to put new lights in as needed?
I would be very interested in seeing the criteria of what would classify as a needed spot.
Intersection,
Which ones?
the number we don't have.
I know that,
We looked at one at Ball in Danville, Mill Road 111. It's pretty dark there.
Why don't we add 5 this year and revisit it next year?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm just 5,000. I'm saying it's a placeholder. Take out the savings. Take the savings down. We don't need to. I don't think we need to budget 33,000. Okay, so whatever the cost is with streetlights plus 5,000. The 5,000 is to determine where we're going to put streetlights in the future.
what about the sidewalks?
Could put.
Bulk pickup day, more cops, a couple extra firefighters.
Make sure you put curbing in the sidewalks.
Let's go, let's do it.
And a bike path.
We could lower it down. I'm just trying to say it's at 33,000 now. I'm trying to.
I think
lower
Don and I
it.
are always gonna fundamentally disagree on this. I don't think more lights in Kingston is
Okay.
preserving the country feel. I mean, it's just, the sky gets brighter and brighter and brighter.
And with all the money that we
So what do you want to put that?
spent,
What do you want to put it at? It's at $33,000. I don't think it needs to sit at 33,000. That's my question. I'm trying to lower it from 33,000.
You're talking about the warrant item that passed, or like,
The line item, streetlights, is 33,000 a year.
okay, so you're saying that the money that we're saving, you wanna earmark that for more lights?
No, we're paying 33,000 right now. If the bill is 20,000, I want to budget 20,000 plus 5. That's what I'm saying.
Cindy is reconfiguring the savings. We just had a $1,000 drop this month.
Yeah.
If it's $1,000 every month, it could be
Yeah.
$12,000 saving off the 33. Is that correct? So it comes down
Yeah,
to
so I'm just trying to,
22.
yeah.
You're getting there, but sort of sideways.
Okay, I mean,
I'm trying to
I
track
think
that.
savings should beget savings. We should invest that in more energy efficiency upgrades where necessary.
I guess. I don't know.
Let-
The budget, it's over budgeted at 33,000.
Let's let her compile a couple of months, or a month anyway,
Okay.
see what the savings are, because the savings should go up even more this time of year.
Right.
You would think. Or not, because we're gonna have lights on longer because the days are shorter.
That's what-
So consultant 60,000, leave the other one for
Whatever,
now. until
I
we get
said it
more
back
info.
on.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I had on those six.
Okay, public comment. Okay. Correspondence. there anything you need us to do with this franchise fee payment, Susan,
Franchise fee thing.
on Comcast?
Oh, no, that's just it's just information. That's just, we get those notices quarterly or whatever it is they get.
Do we have any authority under that franchise agreement, or, I don't know. It's often accused that we're in cahoots with Comcast, I just didn't know what our power dynamic was in that relationship.
Yeah, not good, they put our phone number on their bills for, if you have a problem.
Don't call us instead of them, but
Bill, you want to talk about today's meeting?
Do you wanna talk about it?
what's that?
Today's meeting.
I just did up the minutes quickly so you can, but you don't have to. You want to prove it
You wanna talk about today's meeting?
Yeah, just let people know.
If you wanna talk about that, I can go through this and
Okay.
burn through this pile up quickly.
I would just say that this morning, we had the Board of Selectmen met to set the tax rate for the town of Kingston. We couldn't do it any sooner because we were waiting on information from the DRA, and Ms. Bakey has been trying to get the tax bills out to the residents, but we set the tax bill at 4.32% is the rate. Is it 4.32%?
I just want to give you a little update. Cindy talked with Penny at DRA after this, and Penny is agreeing that there's something skewed with those utilities. She
Oh
wants
my
to
God.
have us check it, so she's held off on completing it until we check that, hopefully first thing tomorrow.
Okay. So we don't have the final tax rate. but
We do
do
not have the final. For the viewers at home, the assessment from the utility poles came in over $1 million less than a year ago.
Yeah.
And so we questioned that drop in value and called the assessor, was not able to reach the appropriate person to get an answer. So we don't have the final tax rate as yet, basically, until
Yeah.
that's resolved.
Well, we did everything we could to keep the tax rate as low as we could anyways.
So that still pushes Tammy back a little bit.
We don't have a choice.
It's not on us.
We're gonna have to work out some system to work with the school in some way to get things done sooner rather than later, because this is pretty late in the game.
It's COVID.
That was last year.
No, this is here
It's
every
this-
year.
Yeah,
COVID's not going anywhere.
let's say that. All right,
All right, so, we have an, intent to cut here, timber cut, that's for the town forest, the Acorn Town Forest. Credit card policy, we're reviewing and working on next week. I am signing an application to reserve the gym for 2022 elections at Sweezy Gym.
correct.
There's 3 of those, one for each election.
And then an MS1 sheet and an elderly exemption as well. Let me sign those.
Sign those already.
Okay, I'll take a motion on the minutes of November 1st.
So moved, both public and non-public.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay. The
What sheet is that?
perambulations, sorry.
Oh, yeah, are we just not?
I haven't got an answer yet, I can call them in, but
If you haven't got an answer, we're
I
not
haven't
doing
got an
anything.
answer, kind of makes
We'll
me
wait
think,
with
no
Not gonna
answer is
budget
no.
anything.
Nope.
I think no answer is no answer, that they don't wanna come out and say,
All right, so I'm gonna call the other towns and just let them know we're not doing anything. in
tell them
2022.
we've delayed it a year. and decide in the summer that we have money burned in our pocket and wanna do 1 or 2 weekends. But we got too much.
It's bound to be a government program.
We got
for
too
that,
much
so.
to do this year.
Anybody else got anything?
Chief?
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
It's done.
Second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.